What can I say? Like, I've already talked about people not being able to afford those good institutes in Delhi or in other big cities. Learning a language can be a very big challenge in India, and in today's video I'm going to talk about my experiences, things that I found very difficult while learning language in India, and other things that people face in India when they want to learn a foreign language. So without any further ado, let's get into it. The first problem that anybody could face while learning a language in India would be there are no good universities that teach you proper language in India. Now, what do I mean by proper language? In India, any university, pick any university. DU, I was studying Spanish in DU. DU, JNU, Amity University, IFLU, Jamia, ABC, XYZ, all the universities that are out there in India that are offering a course in a language, they all focus on writing in that language. By the second year, we were introduced to literature in Spanish, and the problem was that the majority of class could not understand what those texts meant. And it is a problem in every university. People would say that JNU is better, people would say DU is better, people would say no, go to IFLU in Hyderabad, that is better. But all these universities have one major problem, and that is they all focus on writing. They do not care if you can speak in that language, how well you can understand that language. The audio part of the language is never a focus. They only focus on the course. The literature part, they will give you those texts by Pablo Neruda, by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, by Rupen Dario. They will finish the course. All these teachers will finish the course, and they will expect you to vomit those answers in the answer sheets. When you are learning a language, let's take the example of English. When you are learning English, what is the most important thing that you want from English? Yes, you want to read in that language. Yes, you want to write in that language. But the two most important things that you want from language or from English would be you want to speak in that language with fluency, and you want to understand that language without missing out on anything which the other person is trying to say. Now, French, Spanish, Italian, German being a third language that we are learning in a university or in some random institute, and if they are not focusing on speaking and understanding that language, how can you expect to find good job, or how can you expect to have a good communication with a native? So that is the first problem that we face in India while learning a language. The second problem that majority of India would face while learning a foreign language would be that all these institutes, all the good institutes that are in Delhi or in the major cities like Cervantes, like Alliance, Max Muller, Mosai Institute for Japanese, all these institutes are expensive for majority of India. Yes, I did learn Spanish at Instituto Cervantes for good 1.5 or maybe for 2 years, I don't remember exactly, and I was able to pay the fees. My parents could afford it, and maybe even you can afford the fees, but majority of India cannot afford going to these institutes. And the problem that Indians face while learning English or any language, any foreign language, is that it is very hard to find good institutes with a nominal fee. If you want a good quality institute in India with good quality of facilities and teachers, you have to pay the fees. And sadly, when I started making content around languages, I got a lot of comments and DMs, and the major concern for most of the people was where they should learn a language. When I used to recommend them some institutes like Cervantes, Alliance, the first problem that they had was these institutes are very expensive. Can you suggest me anything else? And to be very honest, I cannot think outside the best place to learn a language. Yes, there are small institutes. Yes, there are universities which hardly charge you anything to learn a language, but those are not the right places, in my opinion, to learn a language, because the way they teach is not good, and for good quality, fee, the money that you have to pay is very important. The third problem that anybody could face, or somebody who is not going to those good reputed institutes would be, and if they join your diploma courses, certificate courses, or your small institutes, is that the quality of teachers is very bad. Now, how do I say that and how do I know it? Because a lot of my batchmates from Delhi University are now becoming teachers in these institutes or in these diploma courses, and I know exactly these kids were having a horrible time when they were learning a language. They were failing subjects, they were struggling, they used to cheat in the exam just so that they could get the degree and maybe find a job. And now imagine those bad students are becoming your teachers. I mean, nothing against them, I do not have anything personal against them, but I do not want to learn from a teacher who himself was struggling by learning a language. And language is a skill. You want to become good at that skill. You do not want a paper which says you have a BA honors or you have a diploma in that language. That degree or that paper is just an entry point. You have to be excellent in that language to find a job, to talk to people, or maybe make something out of it. You cannot have a degree and if a person comes in front of you and you cannot utter a word. Languages do not function like that. Everybody has the right to work and find a job, but I personally do not recommend those private tutors or these diploma courses where the quality of teachers is not good. Another big problem that majority of Indians face is that there are no good institutes outside your major cities. Outside your Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Calcutta, here you would find those reputed universities, colleges, but outside these major cities, outside your tier 1 cities, if you go to tier 2, tier 3, yes, you would find those small institutes, but the quality of these institutes are very bad. And again, I would not recommend these institutes, but what can I say? Like, I've already talked about people not being able to afford those good institutes in Delhi or in other big cities. Now, already the fees is very high, and people who want to learn the language, who are living in tier 2, tier 3 cities, they have to go to these institutes, and unfortunately the degree or the diploma, the certificate, whatever they give is not good enough or is not sufficient enough to land you a job. And people who are really interested have to move to big cities if they want to learn a language from a reputed institute, so that they can excel in that language, they can get better in that language, and finally they can get a job. So it is a very big concern. Hopefully somebody who's watching the video out there can recommend places or institutes in tier 2, tier 3, or even in tier 1 cities. Recommend those good institutes where people can learn languages with a nominal fee. The last problem that I'm going to talk about is something that even I faced personally while learning Spanish, and that was there were no people to talk in that language. When I say there were no people to talk in that language, I mean there were hardly any native to talk to. Yes, you can do your listening exercise on YouTube, or you can buy those books which have CDs where you can practice your audio, but in reality when you learn a language, you want to have a conversation with native. If not with a native, you want to have a conversation with somebody who has a C1 or a very advanced level in that language, so that the other person who's listening to you, who has a better level than you, can correct you, can suggest you things, so can suggest you places, books, etc., so that you can also improve in that language. Yes, you would find classmates who are equally motivated to learn the language like you, but if you are practicing the language with people who have a similar level like you, it will be very difficult for you to excel in that language. You need somebody who is at least a native, or somebody who has a better level, so that you constantly improve in that language, you constantly learn new vocabulary, you constantly correct yourself, so that after 2 to 3 years you are somebody who has a B2, C1, or maybe an advanced level in that language. Back in the day, I did use certain applications like italki to find native people to have a language exchange, where I would teach them Hindi or English, and in exchange they would teach me Spanish. But the problem was the consistency and finding the right person who you can trust, who could also teach you the language. And the other side of the bargain is that the other person should also be interested in learning English or your native language, or for me it was Hindi. These days you have other applications like Clubhouse. I have used Clubhouse last year during the lockdown to talk to a lot of people from Puerto Rico, from Colombia, because I like the accent and I'm accustomed to listening to the Spanish accent, so I wanted to practice the other accents from Argentina and from other countries. So I did use, you can also use the application and see if these applications can help you. So guys, these were the problems that I faced, or anybody could face while learning a language. And if you think I missed out on any challenge, you can leave a comment. So till the next one. Adios. So guys, if you're enjoying the videos, please consider subscribing.